Right. So this one might be a little harder to watch just because it's not really filmed for a movie or even for a reality TV show. This is a documentary using footage entirely from body cams from officers that somehow it just makes it worse because you can see the escalation of everything going, but you can also see everything kind of breaking down to its raw center. Let's start from the beginning. We have one Susan Lorenz who moves into a neighborhood in Ocala, Florida. So, seemingly the neighborhood was normal right before she moved in, right? Like, kids are outside playing, families are just trying to live peacefully, the neighborhood seemingly gets along. It's going well. It appears to be the ideal place to raise a young family. Until Susan has a problem with the kids playing in what isn't her yard. And yeah, that's about as stupid as it sounds. Now, I don't want to give her the title of a Karen because it gets much worse than simply calling a person someone that's nosy or that talks down to people. Susan is not right, and through the first hour, we see the gradual escalation of calls and the frequency, along with the issues that she has with the children playing outside of her yard. Her alleging that they're calling her names or whatnot, but with parents actually getting involved and making a point of even telling their kids, look, she's an adult, so you treat her with respect. If there's a problem, you come and tell me. But that's the goal, though. Like, literally, the goal is for kids to be outside playing and having fun. That's a good thing. And yes, these kids are loud, but you don't live on private property, and that's not your yard. Now, look, it baffles me the unfortunate escalation that happened here. Susan calls the cops frequently and starts becoming belligerent with parents who frequently get involved. In particular, one, Ajik, AJ, Sherelle Owens, who is one of the mothers of some of the kids. A major incident does occur when Susan calls one of the kids a retard. Her words, not mine. When AJ goes to speak with Susan, Susan shoots AJ through a locked door, and thus the fall occurs. Kids seeing their mother shot and bleeding. A neighborhood traumatized. Susan is rightfully arrested. Now, it's at this point that it gets really raw. It's when the dad shows up and he's given the news that AJ is gone. She was taken to the hospital, but there was nothing they could really do. He begins to break down, but he has to pull it together to deliver the news to the children. And it's honestly, too often we hear about gun violence, but to watch these raw moments, to watch these kids being told that their mother's gone, it's might be the hardest thing I've seen this year. It's somewhat endearing to see the whole neighborhood come together to support these kids in this moment, in this tragedy. To see everyone come together to support their loved ones. And then we see Susan's interview where she expresses little or no remorse. She seemingly advocates for herself first before talking about what happened and being honest. Susan is released on the basis or belief of stand your ground law, but we then see the public outcry over the issue and how she is released and allowed to be in public while the investigation is pursuing. When, on the other side of the coin, rightfully so, people point out in the black community that if Susan was black, she probably would have been held in remand, at the very least in jail. Susan is finally brought in and the charges are brought forward. And honestly, it's really satisfying to see the lead investigator ask her, why were you Googling stand your ground laws earlier in the day when you shot AJ? And the look on her face, the absolute just, it's really worth it, to be honest with you. And that's when they start to treat her like the perp that she is. When she says, I don't want to go, I'm not going, they I don't want to say, the word's not mean, but they treat her like the perp that she is and tell her, either you can get up and come with us, or we can make you get up and take you with us. She does go to trial. She is convicted. She is not sentenced to a maximum sentence. I believe she's sentenced to, I want to say 10 to 25 years, if I'm not mistaken. Let me be very clear about this. AJ will be remembered as a loving mother to her children and a pillar of the community, a community leader who was taken far too soon. This documentary serves as a reminder that gun violence has real victims. Now look, I'm not going to score this one. It doesn't feel right to say that, but I will say this. I do believe that this should be a mandatory watch for all people, if for no other reason educational purposes, but also to see the real life effects that gun violence can have on families. Y'all be good people.